Would you believe me if I told you you can learn a new language in 10 minutes? What I'm going to show you today is going to blow your mind and give you superpowers with language. Okay, maybe not an entire language, but have you ever traveled to a place, let's say Thailand, and you're in Bangkok and everyone's speaking, say, Central Thai, but as soon as you get out to the provinces or any other city, you realize that, hey, people aren't speaking the same language anymore. So what I'm going to teach you today, and I'm going to do this clip in Thai as well, because the way I'll present it will be a bit different for native speakers of Thai. But even if you don't speak Thai, you're going to be able to take the tools that I give you, and next time you travel to Thailand, you can map the language from wherever you are, and within minutes, you'll be able to start sounding like the people of that area speaking that dialect. So if you do already speak standard Thai, you're going to be at an advantage. But if you don't, let me explain this anyway first. So this is my Indic consonant compass, and I've built it up here. You can see if I click down here, actually, there are so many languages that use this system. This is the Indic map of the mouth. You'll see in so many of my clips, I use this. It's amazing. It's not just a writing system, but it's a way of understanding how sound moves in the human body. Those Indians were cluey people back 3,000 years ago. So we have the back of the throat, the palate, originally, if we look at the Devanagari, this is the one of the Indic scripts that you might see Sanskrit written in now. Now the Thais, even though they base their writing on one-to-one on this system, the Thais couldn't pronounce these and so what happened is, you can see they've turned green here. They just turned to their dental equivalent. So na, ba pa ma. So back of the throat, ga to the front, ba, lips. So you have to understand that this 5x5 map of the mouth is the key to everything. So what happens? We have this stop throat. So if you say the word ki versus ski, you'll see that the k in ski is very different. Your throat closes. And so in Thai, we have this throat closing at the beginning of these versions of the letters. So watch this. Ba, ta. Actually, D, this was a throaty or a stopped N originally. So na, da, which is rendered as a D. We have da, ga, right? So this is what we call the middle class. Remember that, because it comes in handy in a moment. So we know we've got stop throat, we've got aspirated. So these are like we'd pronounce in English. So okay, ka, cha, ta, pa, or in Thai we'd say kha, cha, ta, pa, fa. So these are aspirated, and the rest originally were normal voiced. So if we look in the Sanskrit, these were originally a G. So they were g. But what happened? This voicing got lost. So in modern Thai, it's rendered as a kh, okay? This map is everything. For Chinese languages, Vietnamese languages, and all Thai languages, they use this system. Here we have semivowel, so ya, ra, la, wa. Again, ya is from the palate, la is from the teeth, wa is from the lips, so they follow these. And this is what we're going to map. So what happens in standard Thai, basically, you have, these are the ones with that stop throat. This first row here are the ones with that aspirated sound, the air puffing over. So that's this second column here, as well as all the SE sounds. We call them sibilants. So they're the high class. So basically all these ones highlighted in blue. Those stop throat ones are all these ones. And then the rest of them, which were originally voiced, are the ones highlighted in red now. They're the low class. And so that's this row here. So what happens in Thai, so we have normal voice, we have stiff voice, we have creaky voice, which these are original from Sukhothai maybe 800-900 years ago. And then we have what's called dead. So there are dead and alive sounds. So a dead sound would be something ending with a PTK. So ma, mak, ma, map, mat, mat. So you can see this sound at the end, the consonant at the end kills it. So just remember that these are the tone contours for Bangkok Thai that you're looking at. So for example, if I had this letter here,
Kho Kai.
So we call that Kho Kai. So this Kho, the word for leg is Ka. So that would be pronounced Ka, following that tone contour. If I put this Maitor tone marker over it, it would be Ka. Likewise, if I had this letter,
กอไก่
กอไก่ this is this middle class. So middle class would be here, ka. If I put this may X symbol, it'd be this shape, ka. So basically, wherever the line goes, this is the lowest point of your voice and the highest point of your voice. So ah. So if I had this letter here, the ka, and put this symbol over it, ka, it would follow that contour. So while you learnt the tones for Bangkok Thai, you may have learnt these ones here. Learning them for any other dialect, as long as you know how to spell the word, you can actually just map the tones of that dialect no matter what province you are, no matter what town you are, and you'll be pretty accurate in the way that you pronounce their language. Just as long as you know which words you're saying, how they're spelt, and you follow this map, you can pronounce the language just like the locals. So let's do it. The first thing is that we need specimens. Now, we were learning in Mindkraft the other day, everyone learned how to read the Lana script, the old Northern Thai script.
That's actually two or ang.
That is o-ang, and this is the subscript, so that's two o. It's like writing this. And we have my egg, and then we have this guy here, Donald Trump with his hair. So that's ong, nampik ong, and I love nampik ong.
Yeah, it's good.
Nampik ong, yeah.
Is that the tomato-y one? Or?
Yeah, that's the one with tomato and pork mince. Okay, what does this say? And as they were learning, they were also learning the sounds of Northern Thai. So I found this video clip, Son Kam Mueang Wan La Kam, or as they would say, Son Kam Mueang Wan La Kam. That literally means learning Kam Mueang or Northern Thai a word a day. And so what we're going to use is this clip, I'll use it as the specimens of Northern Thai and see how fast we can map the language. Okay, so let's look at the first sentence.
ขอให้วันนี้เป็นวันที่ดีนะ
Okay, so ขอให้วันนี้เป็นวันที่ดีนะ Now let's see it how they've written that down there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to write the words that they wrote down there, but actually I'm going to write them in normal Thai. Okay, so I've written that here, and now you can see that they've actually written the word hey as hu because they hear it as hu, but I'm going to show you why I don't think that's a good strategy to take when you're learning the language. I'll show you why. Let's listen to the Northern Thai version of it.
ภาษาเหนือก็จะพูดว่าขอให้วันนี้เป็นวันที่ดีเนอะ
ขอให้วันนี้เป็นวันที่ดีเนอะ Okay, so let's look at what they've done. I'm going to put these words in. So, kha, this letter is from the high class, that second column, so I'm putting that in there. And the next word, hai, in standard Thai is here. Now, there's one thing to note about this letter here. So we have two I sounds in standard Thai, but actually originally, that round shape on the side, that was actually kha ho. And that's realized in Northern Thai as So I'm going to keep it as that and just keep as a mental note that when I see this, I'm going to probably pronounce it as or instead of I. That's much better than actually writing it in this, because when you're writing it as like they've done in this clip, then you start getting all mixed up and you can't unmix it later on. So I'm just going to remember, if I see this main one, I'm going to pronounce it as okay? So right now, in Thai, this would be kha hai, but they actually say kha he. So I'm going to write their tones down. Let me change the color. Okay, so I've chosen purple to do these new tones that we're going to put in. You can see them superimposed over the Bangkok tones. So kha, maybe that's a little bit lower. It's quite similar to the Bangkok tone. So I'm just going to knock it down a bit there. And kha he starts about, let me just get my pen back here. So kha he, it's about the same, he, and goes down like that. So I'm just going to map that one, kha he, maybe like that. That's probably a good version of it, kha he. Then wan ni, let's see how they wrote that. Wan ni, so one actually comes from this one here. So I'm going to write the word one, and then ni is this low class. So this is from the traditionally voiced, but it's got this meito on it. You'll see when I write it. So ni, one ni in Bangkok Thai becomes what? What do they say?
ว่าขอฮื้อวันนี้
ขอฮื้อวันนี้วันนี้ so if I'm going to do วันนี้ let me just get my pen on here so one kind of starts there and goes up we can tweak these later on but I think this one instead of one turns into one knee starts high and falls down so maybe I'll do this ขอฮื้อวันนี้ these are almost the same these two here with Meitor that's interesting so originally this Meitor seemed to do a similar thing it knocked it down funny that and if you speak Chinese you'll notice this tone also has a very uncanny resemblance anyway Ben what do they say next เป็นวันที่ดี
ขอฮื้อวันนี้เป็นวันที่ดีนะ
เป็นวัน so this ben so the word ben goes in here that means to be ben and that actually sounded like they went like this ben it's almost like it had this curve going like this ben and I think it was a bit higher than that ben so I can bring it up there maybe yeah probably something like that so I'm going to click out of that and I think it started up a little bit higher than that so ben one td let's hear so t instead of td they said t so that's an interesting thing that we also have to take note so let's put this one here t that means that so may today be a day that is td but td note that this t is pronounced the now this is a common thing in northern Thai remember how I said that originally these guys were voiced so this was actually g what happened in Bangkok Thai this became k but in Chiang Mai the g just lost the voicing but it stayed in the throat there so that became go kwai or go kwai so it's pronounced like this guy here but it keeps the tone rule of this low class set so we just have to remember anything in this column here ka becomes ga cha becomes jaw ta becomes da pa becomes ba so td becomes td so I know that this is going to be pronounced T. So I know that T is going to become T, but then the tone turns into T. So that tone is pretty much like this. I think it just basically comes across. So T. Now we can tweak these later on, but I think that's pretty close. And then D, well D comes in this same box as Ben. So let's just keep it there and see if it keeps the same tone. D means good. So let's listen once again to that sentence.
ขอฮื้อวันนี้
Let's just check again. ขอฮื้อวันนี้
เป็นวันที่ดีเนอะ
I missed
เหนือก็จะพูดว่าขอฮื้อวันนี้เป็นวันที่ดีเนอะ
เป็นวันตีดี ner. Now this is interesting. This word ner. Notice it's this ner, which is a low class with a Meitor on it. So that would be the same as this ner, and it actually follows that rule as ni. So you'd notice that ni and ner are the same. Listen.
ขอฮื้อวันนี้เป็นวันที่ดีเนอะ
ขอฮื้อวันนี้เป็นวันที่ดีเนอะ So you can see that basically we've got almost half of all of the sound map for Northern Thai. Now let's listen to some more sentences.
ขอให้โชคดีนะ ภาษาเหนือก็จะพูดว่าขอฮื้อโจกดีเนอะ
ขอฮื้อโจกดีเนอะ Okay, so we haveขอ already. Her we have already. โจก. Now this is an interesting one. Notice how they've used this jawjaan, but it's actually chalk. They've written chalk. Why? Because remember what I said? This chaw is going to turn into that, but we still keep the tone rule. So let's write it as chaw, just like you would in Bangkok Thai, but we know that we pronounce it as jaw. So we can write the word chalk, meaning luck. So chalk di, good luck. And that is long chalk. and it dies. So this is low class, long dead. I'm going to write it in here. โชค and they actually say it โจก โจก so it sounds like this. โจ maybe just comes down just a little bit but not much. So โจก โจก. Do we have anything we don't have yet? We've got dinner. Okay, so let's go on to the next sentence.
ขอให้สนุกนะภาษาเหนือก็จะพูดว่าขอให้ม่วนๆเนอ
Okay, so we've got most of the words in there. So let's look at the next sentence. See if we can start to fill out some of these other ones.
คุณเข้าใจไหมภาษาเหนือก็จะพูดว่า
Okay, so now we can actually start to test some of these. Now I'm just telling you now, this word tua, they shouldn't have spelt it like that. It should be tua in here, tua in normal Thai. Let's see if they pronounce it tua, 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 and then khao zai. Well, we have khao, that would be in this box here, so khao, and then zai should actually be in this box here, so it should be tua khao zai, tua khao zai. Let's see if she says it.
ตัวเข้าใจก็
Tua khao zai, see? Tua khao zai, and then ga, that's one we don't have. Ga is ga or mei ek, so ga is a middle class and mei ek. So we've got a new word. This is our word safari. So we can write ga in here, and they've got mei ek. Now, if that were in standard Thai, you can see this yellow line, ga. But this actually becomes ga. It comes up higher, so we'll write this here. Ga. Okay, so we're filling it out. Let's get some more.
ฉันไม่เข้าใจภาษาเหนือก็จะพูดว่าเปิ้นบ่เข้าใจ
Okay, this is an interesting one. The word chan, they use the word pern. Now, most Thai speakers would know the word pern, and it's pronounced pern, pern in standard Thai. In Chiang Mai, the p becomes p, so it becomes pern. And here they've written it with a meitor, so it looks like pern. Now, I would say that that word is actually probably from this one here. Pern with a meitor, and it becomes pern. Burn. So it's still following this curve here. So I think we've still got them. We need some more specimens. Let's go hunting.
ช่วยพูดซ้ำอีกครั้งหนึ่งได้ไหมภาษาเหนือก็จะพูดว่าจ่วยอู้แหมกำได้
Okay, so here we have the word choi, and they said joy. Even though it's pronounced as a jorjan, it still comes out of this. So joy, oo is the northern word for speak. Put. So they say oo. It's aw. Meitor, so that's middle class meitor. That's one that we don't have yet. So I'm going to drag this here and I'll write the word oo, meaning to speak, and let's see what tone they used.
จ่วยอู้แหมกำ
Ooh. So it's pretty much the same. Ooh, you can see these ones are almost all the same. Ooh, her, ni. So meitor pretty much gives this falling tone to no matter what class it was, and mei ek gives this sort of central straight tone, which is what the original function were. This was stiff voice and this was creaky voice, pushing the voice down at the end. That's interesting.
ตามฉันมานี่ภาษาเหนือก็จะพูดว่าตัวเปิ้นมาเพ่
Pet, need pet. So we can see that this pet, that's a low class short and it's got very high. So I'll take that. Pet, similar to Bangkok. Okay, so we've got another one. And I'm just going to write that in here. And I'm going to write this as pet. Okay, let's go.
เลี้ยวซ้ายหรือเลี้ยวขวาภาษาเหนือก็จะพูดว่า
Okay, so let me just see. Now, we've got all of the tones in this. So, liao sai, if we wanted to say it like according to these tones, liao, well, liao would normally be in Bangkok Thai. This liao, you see the yellow line, but we're going to say liao. Sai would also be here. Liao sai, yellow, yellow. Now we're turning to purple, purple. So, I predict she's going to say liao sai. And then liao kwa. So normally it would be liao, yellow, kwa, following this yellow line up here from the first box. So I suspect it'll be liao sai, liao kwa, liao sai, liao kwa. Let's see.
เลี้ยวซ้ายหรือเลี้ยวขวา
Woohoo! We got it. It's working.
ไม่เอาขอบคุณนะภ ภาษาเหนือก็จะพูดว่าบ่เอาขอบคุณเนอ
Okay, so ba'ao, ba again is from here, so ba'ao, ao, so that confirms this middle class is going to have like a rising midtone, ba'ao, khop kun. So khop, that's interesting. So that's a high class dead. Khop, this word is going to go here. So I can write that khop just in there. And the tone is pretty much straight. Khop.
ไม่เด็ดขาด
Okay, so this is an interesting one. Mai det kat. We get this short dead for the middle class. So let's listen what the tones are going to be, especially for this. This is the one that we're looking for. Det. Det in Thai is going to be here. So we're looking for this box here. Middle class, short dead. Det. Det kat. Det kat. Let's see how they say it.
ภาษาเหนือก็จะพูดว่าบัดใจเด็ดขาด
Det. 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 Det card. So det starts about here and comes up. Det. Det card. Det card. Det card. So I'm just going to put in the spelling there. So det card turns into det card, and then card is again here. So det card. Our tones are working.
เผ็ดมากเลย
Okay, so we're going to find this one here. We've only got 3 left that we haven't got. So pet. Pet. Is normally this one. So let me just write it in here and we can get ready for the tone that we're going to get for the word pet, meaning spicy. So pet is a high class short dead.
เผ็ดขนาด
Pet, that's interesting. So pet kanat. That means that the tone from this one is pretty much the same. So pet, look at this. Now this is fascinating because you can see that it's probably an older, much closer to sort of this original from hundreds of years ago Thai, where there is much more congruence with what happens with these tones. I could almost predict that these tones, because normally mai ek and long dead are going to be the same. And I would say now that we have a pretty accurate map of the dialect of Northern Thai that this lady is speaking. Now let's put it to a test. Let's look at whatever the next sentence is and see if it works.
จืดมากเลย
Okay, so dude, mark le. You can see the word that they've got here. I can see that it's come from the word jang, that fat. Okay, that's slang, but I would say the word jang would be jang, jang, and then that fat would probably be here because it's short dead. So that fat.
จางแจ๊ะแฟะ
See that? Jang, that fat.
พอแล้ว
Okay, so this word paw now, paw comes from the paw. Now this p comes from this one here, so p, paw, but we know it turns to a b, paw. But the tone will be this purple line, so paw turns into paw, and then lao is this one here, which will turn into this purple line, so lao, so paw lao. Let's see.
ภาษาเหนือก็จะพูดว่าปอแล้ว
Wow, that's awesome. So you can actually see that just by spending about 10 minutes getting real samples of words that fit into each of these boxes, you can map it. And actually, I've mapped, so these are the tones of Ubon, these are the tones of Phuket in orange. Ubon are these deep purple ones. And in hot pink, they're the tones of Mandarin. So yes, even the tones of Chinese languages will fit into this. You just need to get the words that fit into those categories and start to map them out. Now, over time and over geography, some of these shift, and that's the beauty of these languages. But the cool thing is, if you use a tool like this, now I've used the Marvin Brown boxes, you might use Gedney boxes, but these tools will help you map it out, and just going there, even if you get it close, you're going to have a really rich experience then getting into the local dialect, no matter where you go in Thailand, Laos, or anywhere across Asia that speaks these tonal languages. See what languages you can map up. Come into the Discord server, scan the QR code up top, and if you come from any province that speaks a non-standard dialect, maybe you could send in some voice samples that we could then all try and map. I'm Stuart J. Raj. I'll see you on the other side.